Hello everybody. I'm going to be creating an abstract polyscape. It looks something like this. When it's done, you use different images, and I'm using an image of a mountain, the Matterhorn, and another one of Earth. You can use whatever ones you want. And what I need you to do is make sure that your rulers are on. You can hit Command R, turn them on, and then drag out from the left a guide. I'm going to go fairly quickly with this tutorial because you can always pause it. And I'm going to snap this to right in the very middle, 50%. And the same when I drag one down, 50%. I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to rename that layer Square. I'm going to double click that, Square, and return. Then I'm going to come over here to my rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to drag from the very center a rectangle. I'm going to make sure that it goes in the center where I dragged out, hitting Alt, and I'm going to constrain it to a square by hitting Shift. I'll let go of my mouse first, and then the Alt and Shift keys to have something like this. Then I'm going to right-click it inside and transform selection. When I go to transform selection, I'm going to rotate this, so I'll put my cursor outside of this, and I'm going to hold down my Shift key so it constrains to 45-degree angles, or 15-degree angles, and I'm going to go down to 45 degrees. And then you can hit either the check mark or hit Enter. I'm going to choose a fill color. So I'm going to click on my foreground color. I'm going to just choose a gray. Doesn't really matter what it is. I'm going to choose a gray, and then I'm going to fill that with Alt and backspace, or Alt Delete, and then Command D to deselect this. I'm going to change the blend mode of this layer to overlay. See, now it shows a little bit maybe with your images. I'm going to double click over here in the gray part of this square layer, and I'm going to click on stroke, stroke. And I want to make sure that I can see my parameters here, so I'll make sure this is selected. Right, I can change my stroke to whatever I want. I'm going to make this about I'm going to change inside. You can change inside or outside. I'm going to make it for this image about 8. I'm going to change my blend mode from normal to overlay. And I'm going to make sure that the color is white. And then OK that. I'm now going to make another new layer. And I'm going to name this Circle. And I'm going to come over here and grab the elliptical marquee tool. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to the middle, drag out, hold down Alt, hold down Shift. I'm going to make this a little bit larger than the rectangle. Make sure that you let go of your mouse first. I'm now going to go down to my background layer, and I'm going to do a copy, Command C. All I'm doing is copying what's inside this selection. I click back on my circle layer and paste, Command V. Okay, it's just pasted it on top, and that's why some parts of your stroke might be missing. What you want to do now is Command T on that layer, right click, and flip vertical. This kind of a mirrored effect is commonly used in abstract polyscapes. I'm now going to hold down the Command key and click the thumbnail of the circle. Right? The thumbnail of the circle, this allows me to make that selection. And I'm going to right click within this and transform selection. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to scale this down. I'm going to take a corner and I'm scaling this down. But I want to make sure that I'm holding down Alt. And then I'm just going to scale it down a little bit. It's hard because you can't quite see how much you're scaling it, but you can let go and see if you need to scale it more. I'm shooting for something like this. I'm going to click on the check mark again to get rid of that bounding box, and then I'm going to hit delete to delete that part of that circle. So I'm left with something like this. Yours might be, I put a little bit of a feather on mine. Yours might be very clean edged. That's probably better than what I have. I'm going to make another new layer, and I'm going to name this Polygon. Polygon. I'm going to choose the polygon tool, and that tool is underneath the rectangle tool. So you're going to show this probably. I'm going to click this and go down to the polygon tool. On the polygon tool, I want to change the number of sides to 3. Again, when you make your own, you can do whatever you want with these things. And I'm going to drag a rectangle from the center and drag this, this triangle, and I'm going to drag this out. And what I can do here is I can rotate this at the same time, so it's perfectly what's my word? Straight up and down. Something like that. Then I'm going to again hit return. Now I'm going to find my other image. I'm going to find my earth image, go to my move tool, and I'm going to move that into my mountain. This is huge, so I'm going to do a Command T to resize this now, and then a Command 0 so I can see how huge this really is. And I'm just going to resize this image. What I'm doing is finding, and you can always change these later on, that doesn't matter. You can always change these later on because we're going to create a clipping mask here. Okay, so I'm going to end up with something like this. I'm going to hide those things. And then I'm going to clip it now into my polygon. I can right click here and create clipping mask. And so now that goes inside my polygon. Now I can move this again wherever I want, or I can resize it with Command T. Okay, that is a pretty basic Polyscape. Now you can do other things here. You could come in here and I could go to my adjustments and I could say, okay, this layer in here, I want this to be black and white. So I'm going to click on this one, which is black and white. Now I need to clip that. So I can come here and clip it just into that. And there's a whole bunch, and then you can do it for any other layer that you want. And now you're creating polyscapes. Now another thing that you might want to do for this, because you're going to be taking this same kind of a concept, and let's say I did want to make another, I'm going to come up here in the top and I wanted to make a five-sided polygon. I can make another one up here, and I could go through the same process, and I could maybe come back to my earth and I can put it, on top of my my Matterhorn there, the same thing, and I can Command T and Command 0, and then resize this way, way down, and I can put that also inside. I'm going to make this one really tiny, and then bring us up a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. And I can right-click that also, and then create a clipping mask. So now I have another image. Now I would more than likely grab a different image than the one I had here to put inside that one. Other things you can do is you can come here underneath the polygon tool, go to your line tool, and you can make different lines like this. Hold on Shift for straight lines, and you can make them, the weight is whatever size this is. And then you could, Command T, and you can kind of move these around where you want. I can rotate this, hold down Shift to get them straight up and down. And I could create a whole bunch of different looks here, depending on what I want to do with this. I'm going to make this just a little bit smaller. I might have something like that. Yes. And then I can make copies by holding down my Alt key, and I can rotate. So there's a whole bunch of different techniques, things you can do here for the polyscapes. So I could maybe just place these kind of right in the middle over here, and then come on to my other one, and then move that also and do a Command T and hold on Shift and rotate. And in this way, then I could create a whole bunch of different looks here. And then you can also, of course, put different images within these. Now, this is what you're going to be doing. So you're going to take the same concept that we went with and just kind of go crazy with this concept. And you're going to end up creating an advertisement. Something like this was an example from last semester. Here is another one. And there's a whole bunch of things that you must have in your advertisement we'll talk about, so you can see these examples. And you can advertise anything you want. Some cases you're advertising a city, right? You're advertising a search engine. This person advertised a diving camp. This one was exploring Africa trip. Here's another one, a cologne. Here's another one of a travel company. So that is your basic assignment. We'll talk about this in class, about the things that are necessary for you to create this advertisement. And if you have any questions, I'll be around to help you out. So good luck.